Anywhere you go, you belong. Anywhere you say, anywhere.
Let's talk about Julia Fox's memoir because oh my god. So first of all, she starts her memoir from the time where she moves to New York with her parents. So she is an Italian immigrant moving to New York. Both of her parents are Italian, and from the get-go you can see that there's this really strained relationship between her parents and how that transfers into her relationship between each of her parents. So her parents are very emotionally unavailable. They're not the greatest parents at all. And we can see how through all this like moving back and forth between Italy to Manhattan and like just her tumultuous childhood, we can just see how she is developing these emotional, relational wounds, okay? And then you also have she also has ADHD growing up, so you could see how it's really impacting her at school. She's already impacted at school because she can't form these long-lasting relationships. Her parents are always moving her from school to school. She's always losing people. She's always moving back and forward. She moves to Italy, comes back, moves to Italy, comes back. And so, yeah, it's just like your typical child wanting to have a relation with someone, even friends. Like you could see she's always getting bullied by her friends, she's getting backstabbed by her friends. And honestly, I relate so much to her story and to her. Like I feel like part of me feels like I'm reading parts of my childhood and adolescent. I'm 4 chapters in, so I'm at the point where she's 16 now. And I think she started when she was 6 or 7, recounting her story. Every chapter is like a few years in her life, and it just flows so beautifully, and it's so raw and authentic. Like she does not hold back. Like everything that she has done or has been said to her or about her or from her is like on these pages, and I feel like it's so refreshing. And I never thought that I'd read a memoir and feel so connected to it. So yeah, some of my notes are just like me saying like, oh my god, relatable, and how I feel so sad for childhood Julia, in the same way that I feel sad for childhood me. And then because this is like set back into like the early 2000s, because I don't think we have that many years difference, maybe like 5, 6, 10 years difference. And I mean, she grew up in the 2000s more than I grew up in the 2000s, but just the cultural references as well, like LimeWire, downloading music from LimeWire, getting the Uggs. There's also this big element of like recognizing that you're poor, and not like poor in the sense that you're like living on the street, but like poor enough that it impacts your clothes, it impacts your relationship with people at school that like, you know, make you feel lesser than. And then, you know, as a result to that, she starts like committing like petty thefts, and you know, she is involved in the crime world because of one of her boyfriend toxic. And yeah, there's a bunch of toxic relationships. I don't know what to say. I just like am basically spoiling everything that's in this memoir, but it feels so close to home. And I'm like, I could read this in one sitting, but I'm too afraid because it's just, I have to take a break after every chapter because I relate too much to it. Okay, so I'm interrupting this vlog with 2 books that I got in the mail. So I got Masters of Death by Olivia Blake, and this is her new book, and it has to do with vampires. So I actually pre-ordered this back in few months ago, and I was supposed to get it in August, and then I realized I never got my copy. So I basically emailed Chapters Indigo, called them up, and I'm like, hey, never got my copy. And they were like, hey, no worries, sorry about that, we'll send you a copy. And so they did, and now it's here. And I actually really want to read this like sometime soon, because I'm writing a book that's also vampire based. So yeah, I don't know, so excited. Then I also got Freedom is a Constant Struggle, Ferguson, Palestine, and the Foundations of a Movement by Angela Davis. I have heard a book, but I've never got around to this one, so obviously I had to order it with what's happening right now in Palestine and what has been happening for the last 75 years. So definitely want to read this one, and I've ordered a bunch of other Palestinian books by Palestinian authors and about the Palestinian struggle for liberation. So yeah, I'm gonna start with this one, and then I'm gonna work my way to the other books as they come along, because I had to order some from Blackwell's bookshop because we don't have Book Depository anymore. So thankfully I figured out that I could order from Blackwell's as they ship to Canada. So I'm really anticipating those copies to come anytime in the next 1-2 weeks, and hopefully I won't have any lost packages. So yeah. Okay, so I was talking earlier about how this book really impacted me, because like I basically can relate to a lot of it. So like one of the passages that I highlighted is here: a profound sadness washes over me as I watch my friends bond with their moms, sharing everything from secret crushes to their dreams for the future. When I told my mom I wanted to learn guitar so I could be a rock star, she scoffed and plainly informed me music is a hobby, it's not a real profession. Maybe she wants to protect me, but it feels like she's projecting her own limitations onto me. As I think to myself that my mom just doesn't realize what I'm capable of, I can't shake the feeling that I'm not good enough. Oh, I just want to hug Julia Fox. I just want to meet her and hug her and be like, you're gonna be the best mom ever, and you know, we all have your back. But yeah, that's it. I'm gonna go back to reading. Alright, let's talk about Down the Drain by Julia Fox. This is me wrapping up my thoughts and opinions. First of all, the last few chapters, 1 or 2 chapters towards the end, really had me sobbing. And I think you get to that point where, you know, you go through her life as she details it chronologically, and you see how it's getting worse and worse and worse, and how much pain she's going through, until, you know, that moment where she decides to take a different path in life and to get sober, get clean, obviously. Heavy on drug use. If you are an addict or if you're recovering, like I am, in no shape or form am I, was I ever to that extreme, but I remember doing drugs on and off since I was also preteen. So if you have any issues with that, please stay clear of this book unless you're in a really good space and, you know, you find encouragement from, you know, tales of people getting sober. This can be very triggering, and not just for addiction, but also for trauma, SA, you know, abuse by men, by society, by your family. So just beware. There's a lot here, and there's not very much a trigger warning. I mean, she doesn't really go into depth, but you could see how she is really struggling with these topics. But thankfully, she is doing better than ever. She has her son, and she's sober, and she's just being authentic online, and she's just, you know, she basically took charge of her narrative. I think every chapter of her life where you see that things are happening to her, at some point she just puts her foot down and she's like, you know what, no, I'm gonna put out a statement, or I'm gonna do something, and it doesn't matter how many people are gonna twist my words, doesn't matter if the media twists my words, doesn't matter if people close to me twist my words. This is me, and this is who I am, and this is what I did, and this is what I'm doing now. And yeah, and I think she's very admirable in that sense, and I think her voice is very refreshing and very down to earth and raw. She does not hold back, like even what she has done wrong and the things she's done, like she's very plain about it. She's, you know, matter of fact. She's not putting herself to be this victim, nor is she, you know, discrediting the things that have happened to her. Lots of loss, lots of grief. That's what like really got to me at the end as well. And I'm just so happy for her. I'm so happy that she's getting the hype that she deserves, and happy that she's like in charge for once of her full narrative. I mean, with the telling of this story. Interesting for people that don't know her, and interesting for people that do know her or have been, you know, hearing about her the last 2 years like me. So I already knew like her role in the movie Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler. And the funny part is like, you know, all these like relatable audios of her, how she was John Safdie's muse in Uncut Gems, you know, and like, oh, I'm sorry, my voice, I'm so sick right now, but it's just, she's so relatable, and she's just being herself, and she's just funny, and yeah, down to earth person. And like she's like also a master manifester. Like every time, like she was watching Adam Sandler movie with a toxic ex when she was in her teen, and then fast forward like what 8 years later, she's staring in her first movie with Adam Sandler, and it's just wild to me, you know. And she also had that brief moment with who she calls the artist, which we all know is Kanye West, and how the narrative has been pushed and, you know, tweaked, and she had no say into that, and she, you know, keeps finding herself in these like toxic relationships until one day she was like, you know what, I'm done with this. And yeah, she's just very strong. So much to say, but I feel like saying any more would spoil it, but there's nothing really to spoil. It's just someone's life and her, you know, honest take at what it's like growing up as an artist, as an immigrant from Italy to New York City, you know, just a lot of things that she's going through, and a lot of people coming in and out of her life, a lot of people she's lost. And yeah, I don't know what to say. This really like got to me at the end, and I was enjoying it either way. I knew I would enjoy it. I knew I would connect to her, but I didn't think I would connect to her to such an extent. And yeah, lovely. I highly recommend reading Julia Fox's memoir. She is very much a refreshing lens in the memoir genre right now. So yeah, let me know if you read it. Let me know if you know or heard about her before this book. And I would love to read more books, honestly, that are very unflinching and very honest in this way, you know. And I also wanted to read little last part segment that she wrote, because it goes back to the title of the book. And actually, many times this down the drain title is referred. And so here she says, sometimes you have to say fuck it and throw your life down the drain just to see where you'll come out of on the other side. The most profound beauty emerges from the ashes of destruction. And by that, I mean that sometimes you have to burn your life to the ground in order to experience the life that is truly meant for you. It is in letting go that we are forced to carve our own destiny. We must be willing to relinquish all we once held dear if we are holding on with fear. If you believe in the power within yourself, anything is possible. Because the truth is, anyone who is someone first started out as a delusional dreamer. And yeah. This back cover is insane. I remember I was reading it when I first got the book. I was reading the first 2 chapters at Starbucks, and I was like holding the book like this down because I didn't want people to see this, because people that don't know are just gonna make assumption. But then again, I'm like, who the fuck cares, right? Who cares? And this was amazing, delectable, a work of art in itself. The cover is very, you know, you could tell, and she's like down this faux drain. Anyways, highly recommend it. 5 out of 5 stars for me. And I'd love to see her write some fiction or some short story or something, you know. I would definitely read whatever else she writes. I know that she created this like zine type or like this like art catalog book, her first book like years ago, but it's like unavailable online. I can't find it anywhere, and some copies that you can find are like going for like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So yeah, so she literally took pictures of like herself, her life, her friends in like these most vulnerable situations. And yeah, she just takes a lot of risks, and it seems like most of them have paid off now. And especially when there are risks that she took for herself, you know, for her, you know, brand or for her creativity as an artist, right? She has really great designs, and she's really out there with her designs, and a lot of people are like copying her style, and it's ever changing, ever growing, and ever mystique. And yeah, just amazing. I don't know what else to say. Read it, let me know, let's talk down below. And as someone who's been down the drain many times, I'm glad to see life above ground. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, love you guys. See you on the next vlog. Bye!